How to buy land in Kenya. Well, hello there, and welcome to today's video, whereby I am joined by one of our experts in the land buying space. This person is from a very prestigious real estate property company, but I won't preempt. I'll let him introduce himself. In the meantime, leave your questions about buying land in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe to this channel. John, hi.
Hi, and thank you so much for inviting me to the platform. I should also mention to your fans that this conversation has long been overdue.
Yeah,
We
should long.
we had said that we should do this.
Yeah.
As she has said, my name is John Mugo, and I've been in the property space now for around 6 years. And I work for one of the biggest companies. Actually, it's the biggest for Naka Real Estate. And I bumped into real estate like I'd say most people do, but I loved it. And one of the things that has made me stick to real estate is that seeing that clients are happy, because that makes me want to get another client who will also be made happy.
Yeah.
And that is the fire. I think for everyone that is in the property space, that is the fire that makes us want to continue every day to provide the best solutions in real estate.
Nice.
Yes,
So client satisfaction.
that is the key.
Nice.
Mm.
So John, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you've found when people are buying land?
I'll say there are quite a number of misconceptions that especially Kenyans or people investing in the Kenyan real estate market have. And the biggest one is that people believe that you need to have a lot of money for you to actually own a piece of land in Kenya.
Uh-huh.
So I wish to demystify that myth or misconception, because you can get properties from as low as 650,000 shillings, especially within Nairobi. And even if you don't have cash,
Yeah.
companies, especially like ours, Fanaka Real Estate, are offering an opportunity to pay that amount in an installment payment plan. So for a number of months.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean you need to have like the 650. You can start with a minimum of around 100,000 and then pay the balance in around 6 months.
Wow.
So we are making land ownership affordable.
Nice.
So then that means you don't need a lot of money. Like you don't need the entire 650 for you actually to purchase land.
Uh-huh.
Another thing that maybe I've seen most people have is that they think you must have some certain skills for you to buy land.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we've interacted with land in so many different ways. And one of the ways is that you actually live in an apartment or actually been to your up country that you've seen either your grandparents or even your parents owned land. So you already interacted with land.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is that you are yet to own a piece of land. So with your interaction, it means you already know what you want.
Oh.
And that is why when buying land, you don't need any specific skill. You just need to be able to say, I want this portion of land in a certain area. Do I want it in Kamakis? Do I want it in Kauai? Do I want it in Mombasa Road? So once you are decided in which area you want, then you start scouting for land. So you do not need any specific skill for you to be able to buy any piece of land. Just an interest, and then look for a specific property or location you want, and you start the journey.
Nice.
Yes.
So I don't need a lot of money. There are payment plans.
Yes.
And also, I don't need any skills.
You don't need any skills.
It's not like investing.
It's not like there's no school that you'll go to learn how to invest in land, especially in Kenya. It's very open. All information is actually online.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing is that for companies, they'll always guide you. It guide you from the word go. This is how you start until you're able now to get in terms of your ownership documents.
Nice.
Yes.
So if I come to you, you'll assist me.
Yes, we'll assist you.
Mm-hmm.
And because our first role, especially as a property advisor or even a realtor, is not to sell.
Mm-hmm.
The most important role is to guide, because we understand buyers at different stages.
Yeah.
There's someone who's a first-time buyer. Yeah. There's someone who has been buying land for so many years.
Yeah.
So because of this, different classes of people will need different types of guidance.
Okay.
So first time buyer will need maybe a different in terms of where to buy, how is the process. But a seasoned buyer just needs guidance in terms of which is the best location to buy, maybe for a specific reason. Is it for an apartment? Is it for a home? Is it for maybe to put up a go down?
Okay.
So that is the only guidance that they may need, because for them, they have already ever done the process in terms of buying land.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. So let's say that I am a first time buyer. What are the steps that I can take so that I can own a piece of land in Kenya?
Wonderful. And I think in Kenya, we are facing so many first time buyers.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing, because people are accepting actually to invest in land or even in property. And land is one of the safest investments actually you can do, because one thing is that you are going to be assured is that land will always appreciate. So for a first time buyer, there are specific things that we always guide or advise them to look out. And the first important thing is look at in terms of the zoning restrictions, because that will influence even your location. A good example is someone is looking for land to do agriculture. So if you're looking for land to do agriculture, in most cases you won't find that land in Nairobi. And in the case, even if you find, you'll find land is a bit at a premium. It's not as affordable as in other locations.
Yeah.
Someone is looking for an area that is controlled, and by controlled, I like giving examples. Good examples of Kawasukari, there's Membli, there's even Mudaiga, there's even Runda and the rest. What you'll notice, most of the people that live there have actually built their houses and they live within a community. Let's call it gated. So you'll never find apartments, only people have built their houses. So if you're also looking for certain areas like those ones, you need also to buy areas that actually have certain zoning restrictions, either controlled or gated. There are people who want to put up apartments, so they'll want to stay in an area that is either mixed use. So once, as a first time buyer, you've decided what you actually want. Do you want to build your house in a controlled area, or do you want to build an apartment in a mixed area, or do you want for agriculture? Then it's easier for you now to decide in terms of the location. Once you've decided now on the location, because there are people who want to stay in Nairobi, there are people who want to stay on the outskirts. But there are obviously obvious advantages of staying in Nairobi. If you work in
Closer
it,
to work.
yes, it's closer to work. And then you'll also escape in terms of paying rent.
True.
And rent is one of the biggest expenses for anyone who is living in Nairobi. So once you decided in terms of the location, now you're able even to budget yourself in terms of how much am I willing to spend.
Okay.
Because either way, if you're paying in cash, you also need to have a budget. If you're paying via installments, you need to have a steady income. Because if you're paying, let's say, 1 million within 6 months, you start with a deposit of 100. It means within every month you'll be paying around 150,000 Kenya shillings. So it means you actually have that cash flow for you to be able to pay it. However, the other advantage is that you can actually even buy land via a bank loan. And nowadays, banks are actually very comfortable, or they are willing to actually fund you in terms of purchasing land. So now it has made even purchasing land a bit easier. So you should not worry if you can't be able to purchase land via cash or even via installments. Banks or even Saccos are actually very open to support you.
Nice.
Yes.
So the location, the budget,
Yes.
size.
And yes, you can also consider size, because you'll notice that in Nairobi,
Yeah.
most properties are either an eighth of an acre or even bigger. And even in terms of pricing, you'll find that pricing are based on an eighth of an acre. So if today an eighth of an acre is going for around $1 million, it means if I want a quarter of an acre, which is basically around 100 by 100, it will be 2 million shillings. So size is also key, because there are people who want maybe a house. They also want to put up maybe something on the side. So the bigger, in terms of maybe their intentions of how they want to put up, it will also inform their budget. Another thing that maybe is a consideration for someone who's also buying land, other than now the location, the size, and the budget. I know also people want to look at, is the area developed? Most parents will want to know, are there schools around? or am I going into a place where I'll have then my child? Yes, yes, you'll drive maybe kilometers for you to get to the facility of your choice. Other than that, maybe in terms of also hospitals, is the area secure? Does the area have electricity? Does it have water? Nowadays, Wi-Fi is now a necessity.
Yeah.
Uh,
Connection. We must be connected.
they must be connected. So these are some of all the other things that maybe you also want. However, you will also notice that even for first-time buyers, they have different reasons of why they are buying land.
Okay.
Someone who's buying land to build a property will actually look at amenities, will actually want to buy a place maybe that is closer to the tarmac, has all the amenities. Someone who's buying also an apartment to build a property to build an apartment will also want somewhere that is a bit developed. But also there's another category of people who are buying land actually for speculation. And for speculation might be for various reasons. That you want actually that property, you buy it when it is maybe low priced and then sell it when it is high priced. That is speculative. Or you want to buy and then in future you can decide, do I want to put up an apartment? You are yet decided. Because there are people who are decided, I'll buy in the next 3 years, I'll put up an apartment. But there's someone who's buying, he's yet to decide, should I put or not? So for speculative purposes, you'll find that most people always look in terms of the price. However, I always advise clients, sometimes price is not a big gap, or it's not a factor for you to consider. And the reason I say this is because the areas we call frontier. Frontier areas are areas that are yet to develop as of now, but there are huge expectations for those areas. One very good area, and I could give an example is Juja. And you notice that Thika Road has been there for now around 15 years because it was completed around 2010. And for the last 15 years, properties along that road have actually disappeared. But now, going now further, let's say in Juja, you want to get that Juja farm. You want to go to an area called Kalimoni. Areas have not really developed. It's because people initially focused around properties that are closer to the town.
Yeah.
However, right now, those areas like Kalimoni, areas like Pasto, areas like Jaffa have really developed because first, the government put up a lot to actually lead to their amenities are already being set up there, like schools. There are good schools in that area, like hospitals like Kalimoni. Yes. What you'll find now, people are now more attracted to remove it. I actually saw eateries like I understand already Ruby's has a petrol station along that road, and also some eateries like KFC have an eaters in that route. So it means more and more people are moving into the area. And once that happens, then it means it's an area that you can actually invest in. Now for speculative purposes, you can actually buy a property that is actually quite low price at the moment. But within 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you actually get a very good property.
And the signs are definitely mentioned in here.
Yes. Yes, one of the signs you look is in terms of maybe have their expectations of maybe infrastructure project like in terms of our roads. And the reason maybe right now people are speaking a lot about Juja is because tickets is coming us. And if you look at the plan that the government of Kenya is trying to put us, they want Rido and Juja to be at the epicenter of the city. And by the epicenter is they are focusing more these areas to be more of residential areas. The Thika can be more of now an industrial hub. People go work there, but they live in Juja and so if now that is the plan, it means they are trying to put up silver lines. They are trying to make sure that water will always be available for people. They are trying to put up roads. They are trying to put up street lights. So for that aspect, because it is a plan that I know it's around 5 years, which has already started. They have already set aside around 200 million for the current financial budget. Means it's just going to change. And as it changes, the price will also change.
It will increase.
It will increase.
Okay.
So the best time to buy a place like Juju is
Now.
because if you don't buy now, then you buy at a future price, which will not be the same price as today.
Nice. Nice. Then that is the signs to look out for whenever you are in the market to buy land. Okay. So, what are some of the essential documents that one needs in this process of buying land? Or we have selection of things. I have the money. What are the documents that I need that I need the land?
Wonderful. And I think when it comes to land ownership, there's always a question of what is more important than the other one. And I think it is important to first indicate that when it comes to any ownership, even if you do not yet the source of the documents is from the government. So it means it is being legitimized since it's coming from the government. So there's a central management that's actually giving out in terms of now the documentation. When it comes to buying land, one of the most important documents is the title deed. And the reason the title deed is important because the title deed has a lot of details about the land that actually interested. One of the details, it will tell you where that property is. Tell you this property is in Kiambu, a certain place. Another thing that the title deed will tell you is that who are the owners of that land. If the assumption is that it's not only owned by one person. So if maybe you own land with you, so that John and Jason actually own that person. Secondly, it will actually show you the size of land. And the title doesn't change at the in terms of hectares. So when we say anything of an acre, you never say find anything within the title deed of an acre or a 50 or 100. It's actually put in terms of hectares. Yes, because now, in reality, that is the best way to measure land. In hectares. Another detail that you'll find in terms of ownership of land, or in terms of the, now you're talking about the title deed, you'll actually find that it will indicate title deed or the property is either freehold or leasehold. And then you also find nowadays they have changed a bit of the design, so you find a bit of artifacts. So you find there's a, I don't know how to put it, but in terms of a marker, there's a marker within the title deed indicating that this is artifacts. This is a new platform that is now being used, but not everywhere. It's just in the counties. So it will actually show in terms of the markers, it will show in terms of the property by its freehold. And finally, in some cases, it will actually show you the property has any equivalences. Equivalence in legal terms means any limitations. Limitations might be in terms of does this property have a loan? So nowadays you can actually get a loan by land or actually use land on a title deed to get a loan. Does it have a coverage? There are problems that is there disagreement walls and land. In other terms, you also find in the cases maybe you've gone to court and you have taken it as a bond. In some cases, it doesn't put as a limitation. So the features of that document tells you a title deed is very because then it will show you everything. So once you've been able to identify a piece of land, you actually visited the land, so that at least you can see the amenities, and you actually decided to take the land, how much to buy the land. You need to ask for the title deed. And make sure that when you ask for a title deed, that the person who's selling you the land is actually the owner of that land. If then you're dealing with a broker, always ensure that the broker has shown you the owner of that piece of land.
Okay, that's a new one. Okay.
Yes, because then if you don't do so, you'll actually be dealing with someone who does not own that piece of land. Once you meet with the landowner, it's always important to have a discussion in terms of are you the real owner. One of the ways is to ask for the ID. Because within the title deed, you have your name and the ID number. So one of the ways to confirm actually they are the owners, the person is the owner of that land, is to look at the title deed and also the ID number and the names according to the ID to confirm the real owners. However, there's also need for you to conduct due diligence further for you to confirm actually the ownership. Other documents that people might also consider in terms of the ownership of land might now happen when you're doing the due diligence. However, Another document that is maybe important during a land buying process is a sale agreement. Because a sale agreement will actually stipulates that I'm buying land in the let's say from get through. And get through is offering, am I selling to me this land at a certain price? And I'm actually going to get this property maybe within 90 days, or maybe 1 year. I'm actually using the bank to actually buy this land. And the reason a sale agreement is also a very important clause in law is because during the period of purchase of land, if anything happened, then at least there's a document that indicates that I was buying land. Let's say in the worst case scenario, during a land purchase, maybe you're buying land by installment. Fortunately, maybe let's say even the seller passes. It means now the owner of that land is no longer, in legal terms, is intestate. It's no longer there. So we will lead other people to actually administer that property. But there was an ongoing transaction. So using a sale agreement at least gives you security that even if you have to go to court, you will actually have an interest in that person's land. But if there was no documentation showing that you are actually in the middle of a transaction, then no court of law will actually give a ruling in terms of saying that you had an interest, because there's nothing that they can show that you actually had an interest in that property. So those are some of the documents that you need to check in terms of when you're buying land.
Yes, nice. So some of the documents titled sales agreement. Okay. There's something you mentioned. Freehold, leasehold. Those terms are new. Could you explain what they mean?
Yes. And I think they might be new,
Yeah.
but as I mentioned earlier, you've interacted with land. You've gone to your parents' home, or you've gone to your parents' home. And funny enough, I always encourage people, you go ask the question, not because you want actually to own that piece of land, but because you also want to learn what is it that is in there to learn. And the freehold and leasehold, in legal terms, is what is called the tenure system. The tenure system means your ownership of that land. Is it new? Because when you come to freehold, in the title you find it is written absolute. The interpretation means that you actually own that land in perpetuity. Another way to explain it means you own it without any limitations. And by limitations, I mean there's no any period for you. Like you're not told you only own like this land for maybe 99 years. You own it in perpetuity. It is your land forever. So in the worst case scenario, maybe after you're gone, your children can actually play it. You can actually sell it. There is no limitation. So that is one of the main maybe the differences between a freehold and a leasehold. Another aspect that you find also for a leasehold property is in terms of the charges, in terms of the taxes that will be levied. There's a levy called the land rates. And land rates are charged by the county government. So if you're within Nairobi, if you're within Kiambu, Machakos, Kajiado, or any other county, they'll actually charge you land rates. The reason you charge land rates is because the county government is offering you services. One of the services that is offering you, they are maybe grading roads. They are also providing water. They are also providing street lights. There are a number of things that the county is doing. And because of this provision, because it's a public service, they will need money to actually provide that service. That is why now we charge the land. So for freehold properties, you only pay land tax. And also maybe to mention in terms of the land tax, it is not that expensive, because maybe people might be worried now when I buy land, I'll also be paying some charges in terms of the land tax. No, in most cases, it is charged as a percentage of the value of land. And counties have something called a valuation. The valuation rule is what explains or indicates how much do we charge as a land rent or land rents for a certain maybe period. So let's say like in Kamakis, they will say we charge maybe 0.0 something percent. So if your property is around a million, you find maybe you charge around 1,200, depending on the valuation. And you pay it only once, and you know, annually. So once you pay it for 2025, the next payment is 2026. Now, checking or looking at leasehold properties, leasehold properties have what is called limitations. The history of leasehold properties was that the government wanted to influence what you can do. And the reason they wanted to influence, because globally, leasehold properties find them in mostly urban areas. You see, like in Westlands, they don't want you to have a property that you have not done it. Because it is a hazard to them. It is a security risk. It is also maybe a garbage risk because maybe people will start dumping. So for those reasons, within urban areas, most governments will want these properties to be leasehold so that at least they can be able to influence how you use that property. So leasehold properties have what is called a tenant. That's why I started to say freehold and leasehold are actually land tenant systems. So you find most properties are actually 99 years, even though you also find in some areas there's 999 years, even though there's a bit of talk in terms of conversion from 999 to 99 years. So you'll actually own that piece of land for 99 years. But it does not mean after 99 years you have to use that piece of land. You will need to renew your lease because it comes from the one leasehold. So once you renew your lease, you get another 99 years. So that is what will be happening. This until you say you don't want that lease. A good example would be the Monte. The Monte and the they've actually leased that property from the government. But though right now I understand it's from the counties. So once they lease that property, when their lease is done, like recently the lease was over, they had to renew their lease. So when you renew your lease, obviously there'll be some charges, not exorbitant, but there'll be a bit of charges. Also, what will happen is that leasehold properties will also pay land rates. So freehold and leasehold will pay land rates. However, there's an extra levy for leasehold. There's a levy called the land rate. Now, the land rate is spent the central government or the national government. So if now I own a piece of land that is actually leasehold, I'll be paying land rate to the Ministry of Lands. So now you have two levies. But in most cases also in my hand, and also land rates and also land rate are also dependent on the size of land. The bigger the size of land, obviously the higher the charges. So for the land rent, if one bit of an acre, not much. In most cases, you find around from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But it's always written on the top. Like this one, the amount you pay.
And will that amount change in case the government changes or something?
Normally it's fixed. The only challenges will be obviously changes in governments, and then also changes in legislation. But the good thing is now the Constitution of 2010 allowed us now to have what is called property. So actually the government is trying to change it, and they'll actually ask us about in terms of our views. Actually, we reject it. And actually, it's gone.
Nice. So I want to take it back to the title. Once I buy a piece of land, how do I verify that that title is legitimate? How?
Wonderful. So, this is an aspect called due diligence. It is always important for you to conduct due diligence even before you purchase. Because then when you conduct a report, it means the process was not legal or the process was flawed. Then it means that your title will not be actually an accurate document.
And your money is gone.
Your money is gone. And so it is always important to do due diligence before you buy land. What are some of the ways to do due diligence? Normally people will always focus on the documentation. But I always insist before you start on the documentation, also start on the location.
today you've chosen a piece of land to do it. You'll actually go for a site visit. So once you're in the vicinity of where the property is, it's always important. Once in a while, you can ask the neighbors, is it true that actually go through as that piece of land? The good thing with buying maybe a piece of land from a company is first thing you find that they are priced. For example, for us, we fence our properties and we do put markers, and the markers are blue and white pens. Finding properly first, you have a gate, and then it's written this property is for Anaka, it's Pioneer Court Phase 1. So it means first we've indicated that that property is ours. So in the case, even if there was someone who was saying that property is his, he actually approached that saying, oh, it's mine. But by the virtue that no one has apologized, it means in reality it is ours. But then if you're buying from an individual, you'll actually need to talk, especially to neighbors. You need to talk to neighbors. Is it true that you have to get this piece of land? And has she been here? How do you know her? In case you're buying from a company, you will need to check in terms of the legitimacy of the company. One way, you look, nowadays online has information. You check our company, you notice that we've been in the industry for 9 years. You also notice that in the last 9 years, we've been able to deliver over 10,000 titles. You also notice that majority of our clients, once they are caught, because they are happy that we actually delivered them on a promise, they'll actually give out testimony. Clients say, "Well, I was fearful because I had for the count, it's a lot of fraud, and I came here, bought land by a cash, installment, and financing, and now this is the title. I can actually understand. That is one of the first because it shows you that the company has already built trust in your client. So once you are done in terms of now noting actually the real owners in terms of the neighbors or company in terms of online, you now check in terms of the documentation. And one of the most important ways is to do what is called a search. And a search will actually need the title deed. Remember we had mentioned you need a title deed. So you take a copy of that title deed. If you are within Nairobi and also in Uganda, there's a platform called Sacco. You actually just need to upload the document and actually see owners of that land and actually the same owners of the title as it is within the government registry. In other places like Kiambu, where the SASA is not yet live, you need to go to the registry. So the registry is an office, there's an area where you find the registrar and obviously the clerks. And that is where information about land for that area is stored. For example, in Wales, you go to Wales town, you find land registry offices. So that's where information about all properties in Wales is stored. So once you give them a copy of the title deed, they'll actually check from their records first. Is this title genuine? Because if it is not genuine, then it is not does not exist. They'll tell you within the search, this title does not exist. So not like that. Another thing that the search will show you, it will confirm, is it true that the owners that are listed on this title deed are the same owners that you have according to all. So if it is Manaka, it will show that it is Manaka that owns the land. It will also show you in terms of the size of that property. The size that is indicated in this title deed, is it the same size that you have according to your registry? Finally, it will also show in terms of equivalences. And equivalences, I also said it is another term for limitation. So I will show. Does this land have a cover? Covered in terms of the legal dispute. And you have a loan with it, there is a charge. Because then it is a legal dispute. You don't want to buy property because of legal dispute. If there's a loan, then does it mean I'll have first to pay back or the so that they can complete the loan, so that they can also use in terms of now do the discharge. So now I can pay the balance and now the loan is less than the value that I paid. So these are some of the things that now you need to know. However, a good land seller will always tell you have this property that have it.
Yeah.
This property has a charge, or this property has any limitation.
Yeah.
But in the case, yeah, maybe not good people. That's why a search is important. In some cases, I've seen people wanting to do what is called a green card search. No part. For the purposes of education, a green card will just show you the history of that land in terms of the land ownership.
Oh.
Let's say, yes, let's say like in Westlands, we own a property. But before you bought it, I used to own it, so I sold it to you. Before I owned it, I had bought it from maybe someone had bought it. So a green card survey will show you a history of the owners of that piece of land.
And does it sound the title deed do I have to go and go?
No, it's the same thing. You still go with the title deed, and then you say you want a title search. Because now the process will be different. Because for normal title search, within a day you can get the search results. But for green card search, not within a week, you get the search results. And then there's normally a car search, even though it's not necessarily a search.
Yeah.
People call it a rim search. Rim search, a rim is an acronym for Registry Index Map. A Registry Index Map is a big paper that is actually shows the properties within a certain area. What it does, it just shows maybe this property from the road is here, but this property, the most important thing I'll say for a rim, shows if the property is not public. But normally this document is used by surveyors. Even if I was to tell you to go get one, you'll actually not be able to actually. You'll actually get it from the surveyor Kenya along Thika Road, around 300 cities.
Yeah.
But now the interpretation will be the problem. Yes, but it helps you to be able to know if the land is within a public space because no one wants to buy land that is public land. No one wants to buy land that is community land. Because if you buy land that is public land, you actually lose that piece of land. And there are so many cases you see the government comes back and says this was our land, let's move it together with our land. Same thing for community land. And that was one of the things that was brought in the Lungu report. That the cases of being found, people actually being sold. So now, but the most common one is the title search. The rest are a bit detailed, and then you actually need someone to do it for you. Either a surveyor.
So, in this session, we are going to look at the risks and red flags you should be looking out for when buying land in Kenya. John, are you ready?
I am ready for this.
Okay. So, what are the most common land buying scams out there?
And this we say with a lot of trepidation because I know so many people have actually lost money and I've met some of them and I also see most of them especially around here and it's a very solid state which I wouldn't want to be, and that's why today we're educating you some of the scams that you actually see. One of the most common scams is that someone will actually show you a piece of land today, but he will tell you that piece of land is on the process of getting a title. So we'll start mentioning you documents like allotment, ballot, they're called ballots. Sometimes people may call them ballot papers, or maybe some fancy documents. But because you consider the area to be very prime, you actually get into the hook of it. The biggest problem is that those are not documents that are actually considered as land ownership documents in Kenya.
Okay.
If you look at an allotment, if you just look at it in terms of meaning in English, it means you have been allotted that property. So it infers that you have been allotted or you have been told to take care of this property until a certain time. So it means that property is not yours. So for someone who is selling you an allotment, he's not selling you ownership. He's selling you to continue holding that piece of land that you were supposed to hold until a certain time.
or until an expiry date. And that's why you will notice in most cases, because they are also sometimes they are actually given by the government, but the government will allot maybe a certain person or certain entity land maybe for a specific purpose. Like the land of land has been allotted specifically for farming. But let's say once it is no longer tenable to farm that area, they will allot it maybe to another person to do something. So you see, that is not land ownership. So in any case, if you are told that you can buy land without the mention of a title deed, that the title will be processed, done, because you'll actually lose your money. The second phone game that is actually happening, especially now, because now people are buying land even in the counties, is that someone will actually show you a piece of land here. Let's say here in Westlands. But this piece of land is going for, let's say, for example, even a million. But your budget is, let's say, 500,000. Then it means a 500,000 plot is actually far away from the town. But you keep on insisting you want a property that is near the town. And because the property must be near the town, someone who is selling might consider, okay, because then you want something that is near the tarmac. I will actually show you one that is near the tarmac, but I will not sell you. I will sell you another one that is actually very good. How is it done? And that's why I said, in most cases you will find you have a title deed, but the title deed must show you where that property is. But the only way to know where that property is through a registry index map that normally now surveyors have. So when you are doing your scouting, it is always important, in some ways, always to confirm if that is the actual location of that property. Because you might have a title, the title is legit, you've done a title search, but where you'll be shown land is not the actual location of that property. So that's why in cases you are advised, always consider having a surveyor so that at least he can show you the actual location of that land. For most companies, let me say for us, we actually have that privilege. So when once you come, he'll actually show you this is the property. You can even tell that from there, from the road, this property is around like how many kilometers. Just from the, because it has like, it is the same thing that people used to do in social studies and GSC. Ile ya map tuko tunapima tunasema sijui how many meters something of it is the same thing. Yeah, with the string and but this one it is now done according to scale. So akisema maybe hapa it's a meter, ama tuseme like 30 centimeters, maybe it's up to it means maybe that is like a kilometer. So that is another con game that is happening, and most people wanafanya hivyo because they want good deals, but they think maybe a better word, they feel maybe a good deal should also be an affordable deal. It's not always the case. The prices of land are always influenced the distance from the town. Finally, this is something even the Supreme Court has actually ruled on. It ruled on a few issues. One of the issues is if today you don't conduct your due diligence, say, because now Gertrude, I know Gertrude, because nowadays I see your friend is selling for me land, and I know Gertrude is not a bad person. She says it's okay, I send her money, tell her, see, you start the process, then Gertrude and I tell her. Because you didn't conduct due diligence. Supreme Court, I think it was in July, indicated that you did not conduct due diligence. Then you just remember.
They can't help.
Now, is it the case stands now from more of a civil, more criminal law? There's a lot of intricacies within that. But the most important thing is, even if you were to recover your money, even if you were to go to court, the thing is, you'll not get your money back. So it means you'll have first to spend more money than get your money. And here we're trying to indicate you why you should not lose your money. So even if it is your friend, your family, always have due diligence. Always look, does it have a loan? Does it have things like that? In another case also, always ensure if a broker is the one who has shown you the land, because that's a legal business. I don't want to say that brokers are not good people. They're actually good people because they actually tell you where you can get maybe prime properties. But you will search with them, hence once you decided to take that property. From there, they should actually show or should link you up with now the real owner of that property, so that you can negotiate the price. You can discuss in terms of what was the history before you bought. Who did you buy it from? Was there a structure here? What are some of the things that you can tell me about this property? So that now, once you're buying, at least you're confident that you're buying land that has no limitations or issues. So those are some of the maybe common con games that people might find.
So do your due diligence first.
Yes, do your proper due diligence. In some cases, involve an advocate, involve a surveyor, so that at least, because for them that is what they want to speak from. So they're actually well versed in terms of matters.
Okay. So some of the professionals that you should involve when you're buying land,
Yes.
surveyor,
Yes.
lawyer,
And a realtor. Because in most cases, a surveyor might not know where to get the best properties. So you first have to link up with the realtor, tell you this is a property advisor, tell you this is the best location. And then once you've decided, that's when you start now discussing about the issues of the specific property. That's when now you can reach out to advocate. And advocate will help you in terms of doing a search, in terms of the documentation, or the documentation is proper. For a surveyor, in terms of check, is that property actually public land, private land, community land? Is it actually the exact location that you are actually showing? So that you not fall victim to some of these scams.
nice. So John, how much should one budget and when you're buying land? And are there any hidden costs?
That's a very good question. In terms of the budgeting, I have always tried to guide clients to always look at a number of financing options. Because it is true, let's say if a property is built for around $1 million, you don't have it in cash. You always have the option of paying it in installment. You need also to check if you have been, you're going to pay it in installments, let's say for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. Is it something that I have a steady income to support it? If then that is not applicable to you, there's always an option now of bank financing. The good thing with bank financing, it means the bank will give you a loan of 1 million. They will also charge you an interest, but they'll give you a longer repayment period. So you might find maybe a loan of $1 million, then maybe around 5 years, you'll be paying maybe a monthly cost of around, let's say, 30 to around maybe 40,000, which is a bit maybe affordable. Unlike if today we say it's $1 million and you need to pay 100,000 per month, then it means in most cases, not most people naturally afford it. So when it comes to budgeting, it is always important to look how much can you be able to afford. So if you're going to the bank financing route, always approach the bank first. Ask, I am looking to buy a property. How much can you finance me? So once they give you in terms of how much you are able to qualify for a loan, then you can use that as your budget. However, if that is not an option, you want to buy it in cash, you can always then consider how much can I be able to raise as cash? How much can I be able to pay in terms of installments? Earlier, I had mentioned also property prices are influenced by the community of the area it is, the level of development, even the level of in terms of social amenities that are around. So that is why if you decide, let's say you want to buy like in Juja, you want to buy in Matani, you'll find property prices might be ranging between $1 million to around maybe 5 million. So it means you're constrained within that money. So if then you really want that specific location, you need to work hard first. So sometimes also the location influences the budget. So if then you're constrained in terms of location, you can always start saving and say, okay, now that maybe right now I can't be able to buy in cash, let me save in the next like 3 years. The downside is obviously property prices are not very safe. However, at least if you're able to save, let's say 600,000, or you have even 600,000 currently, and you pay it as a down payment or a deposit, it means for a property that is 1 million, you manage to 400,000. So if you're paying the 400,000 in 10 months, it means that is 40,000 a month. So it has been made affordable for you. So having also a higher deposit will also enhance one of the ways to ensure that you are able to own land easily. In terms of the hidden costs, to be honest, most hidden costs are mostly after you completed paying for the land. Because normally, in terms of the purchase, everyone will tell you the purchase price is 1 million. What they haven't told you is that currently, let's say you are the seller, that title is under your name. I need to do a transfer to my name, and there's a cost to it. Some of the cost is that you need to pay a tax on a stamp, which is 4% in most urban areas. So if I'm buying a property of 1 million, it means I'll pay 40,000. Also, I'll go to a land board who will give me consent. I will have to do a registration of a title because what it means I need the current title needs to be cancelled for new one to be created. It's just the same way when you're buying a car. The previous logbook needs to be cancelled for them to print now a new one under the buyer's name. So also for land is the same. They need to cancel the previous title to create a new one. And these are also their cost variables charged to it. So you might find if you're buying a property of 1 million, the other cost in terms of transfer might be between 60 to 100,000. So it is always important to always negotiate with the seller, either to ensure that the price is inclusive, or even if it's not inclusive, for them to give you a list for you to get the rent. Because let's say you have 1 million on and you have not negotiated in terms of the transfer to be inclusive or even a negotiation in terms of the pricing. Then it means once we paid, we'll have then again to look for an extra amount of money into the account. Other associated costs or hidden costs might be things like the land rates. Always ensure when you're buying land that it has a land rate certificate indicating that you're still buying land. So normally those are the hidden costs. Other than that, the price normally fixes. Always negotiate.
So what's your take on with taking a loan from a bank? Is it a good idea?
I believe taking a loan from a Sacco or even a bank is always a good idea. Depends with how now you look at it. In one way, it is advantageous because you're going to be paying small, strong monthly. So you take it a loan of 1 million, it means you didn't have the 1 million.
Yeah.
But then you're paying around 25, 30, 40,000 a month. So it means you'll be able to own a property by paying 25,000 for the next 5 months. Unlike if the only option was for you to pay cash, then it means you would have it would have been maintainable for most people that will own that land. The only maybe downside maybe buying land through a loan is past. Obviously, the interest rates will go right now, so they reduced, and it means then you have to pay a bit of the interest rates. Then, when you're buying land through a loan, there are two ways you can buy land through a loan. For a Sacco, there is what we call the guaranteed loans, where you go and get guarantee. Let's say I'm buying land. I have savings of around 300,000. I want to. One way is to look for guarantors who will actually guarantee me their 600,000. So actually, because Saccos don't have their own money, use the depositors' money. So it means the depositors have given me the money to be loaned out, so that once I buy, I'll be able to pay until once I finish paying the 600, that's when I can actually take another loan. Same case for me, once I complete my balance, that's when I can take another loan. Now, in terms of the Sacco, it's a bit cheap because maybe you'll find it's around 20%, some 14%. This is balance, so you'll find they are a bit cheaper. So you can take now the guarantee. The second way you can take a loan is through what is called an asset finance. An asset financing, it means that this asset will be charged or under the title deed to be listed that you have a loan that was used to finance it by this property. The downside of taking that route is that the other upfront cost that you need also to incur. You need to get a valuer to actually come and do the valuation of the property. They will normally charge a percentage. I've seen people charge 10,000, 20,000, depending on where the property is. So it's not like a fixed amount. After that, you will need to engage an advocate. Advocate will be tasked with actually writing an agreement, or if, because the seller is the one in most cases given the task of writing the agreement, to review the agreement to ensure that it does not favor one side. And then we need to ensure the documentation is right in terms of he has done as such. You also need to do the transfer. And then you also be needed to incur cost of stamp duty and now the transfer charges. So in most cases, if you're buying a 1 million property, you might find and you're buying through an asset financing, you will incur another cost of around 100 to 200,000. So it means, other than you having a deposit of 200,000, maybe that's the minimum, you also need another maybe 200,000 for your to So in total, like you actually took a loan of a million, 200,000 in terms of upfront cost and then now the interest. So that the price for that land means now it will be more than it was actually measured. But that is only in terms of cost. In terms of time, it means it has allowed you enough time for you to pay for yourself. When it comes to the bank, we also do the same. You can actually take a normal loan by a check off with your salary, and now you pay.
So, if I was to buy land as a chama, what is the proper way to structure the ownership in such a way if we have a dispute, I still own?
For a chama, the current situation is that most of them are actually registered with chama. However, for these ones, we'll also need maybe the submissions of also advocates. But what I have said is that most chamas do not live for long. And now that is always an issue. Because you'll find maybe you started a chama, we were 10 of us. We got property. But majority of us decided that we would sell that branch. Fortunately, maybe one of the chama members dies. And sometimes there are no proper rules in terms of one dies, what happens. We refund their money. In the case we are refunding their money, does it mean their money has appreciated since we invested that money in land and the land is appreciated? Then does it mean that also their money has appreciated? If then their money has appreciated, then how are we going to compensate this person? In the case also, maybe one of their, maybe the children, maybe if there's a parent wants to join the chama, is there a process? So in most cases, I always advise chamas to actually register companies. Because you see, there is a good distinction, or a proper distinction when we register the company. Because according to the law, means when you form, you have a share. And the only way to relinquish your share is to actually sell your share in most cases. But then the company is dissolved or liquidated, you won't get a piece, then a loan goes. But you see, for a chama, there's always the challenge of if it is related of members die, or maybe there's even some changes in terms of people maybe have moved towns, so there's always a problem. So for chamas, I always advise let them use from a public limited, a private limited.
So for chamas, form a company, register a company.
Of buying land, what are the hidden costs? And some of the hidden costs outside the selling price will be in terms of the transfer costs. That means the charges that are involved from transferring from the seller's name to the buyer's name. Also, you will notice there are also hidden costs in terms of now the land rates, if it is a freehold property. And then if it is a leasehold property, there will be land rate and land rates. So those are some of the hidden costs because you need to confirm if actually they are up to date in terms of the payment. In other cases, there's nothing else that you'll find other than that. Yes.
Um, in terms of buying land as a chama, you've said that the best way is to register it as a company?
Yes. So the best way is through a company, and the reason for that is a private limited company, because a company affords you ownership, affords you a share of the piece of what you own. When you buy land as a chama, even if you are registered, what will happen is that your names can appear in terms of the title, or they can appear at least 3 people, which means they own in trustee of the others. And the problem is, in the case one passes, in the case there's a dispute, in the case there's changes in terms of the aspect of the membership, what then happens to the property? How do we give out ownership? How do we say that we have an acre of land, we were 10, now we are 14? Even if they paid membership fees, does it mean now they now own that property? So that is why it is always important to always form a private limited company, so that now you can own the piece of land. Yes.
Nice. And can foreigners buy land in Kenya?
Yes. It is actually one of the benefits of now the new constitution, even though it does not mean that previously they couldn't own land, but it has made it more seamless. The only limitation is that for foreigners, they can't own agricultural land. They cannot also own beachfront land. And finally, they cannot own freehold property. So it means they can only own leasehold properties. So for them, if then someone is buying land, if you're a foreigner, you only need to consider properties that are leasehold. Leasehold properties. Because that is where now, for your ownership, it will be a bit seamless. Yes.
Nice. So if you had 500,000, where would you buy land? 500,000.
I would say 500 is a significant amount, because I know maybe some people might consider it maybe not that much, but I will actually tell you 500,000 is a significant amount. And what you'll notice that, especially if you are considering within Nairobi, you might find that most areas within Nairobi are either above that price. However, that does not limit you to own a piece of land, because as I said before, you can actually use the 500,000 as a deposit. You can actually also use it, if you're using the Sacco way, as a part of your savings for you to get a loan. And also, if it's a bank and maybe you want to buy a property of $1 million, that can be the down payment. So they'll only finance you the 500,000. To be specific, for us, the cheapest we have in terms of pieces of land, or the most affordable, let me not use the word cheapest, the most affordable is in Mala. We have property that is going for around 650,000 Kenya shillings. The advantage for us, the advantage for the buyer, is that the price is inclusive. So if you're paying 650, there's no other hidden cost. Because if you were to buy 650 and you hadn't paid the transfer cost, it means it will be upwards of 750. So now
it's inclusive of everything.
It's inclusive of everything, making your land ownership very seamless. Yes.
Nice. What's your top advice for first-time home buyers?
For first-time home buyers, I'm telling you, this is the best route to go. And buying land is actually the best option. Because in future, you need a place to stay. Because that is one of the basic needs. There's shelter, there's food, and clothing. So it means shelter is a must. If you're a first-time buyer, I will advise you the most important aspect is for you to have a decision, or to make a decision in terms of which zoning restriction or zoning regulations do you want to live in. Do you want to live in a mixed-use area, or do you want to live in a residential, which is a controlled area? Because once you start aligning yourself in terms of those decisions, even in terms of locations, we start aligning for you. I know for most people, we start with the location and then ask if it is zoned. And the challenge with that is sometimes you might be duped, because someone is he just wants to sell the piece of land. He'll actually say it is true, it is controlled, only for you to buy and later realize it's not. So it's always important for us to start with the restrictions. Do you want such a place? Then from there, you can start looking which areas do they have restrictions that you can only build, for example, residential or it's mixed use. Once you have a sample of or a variety of locations, you can then from there either choose from them or actually even visit the locations. So that once you visit the locations, you can be able to decide, do I want to stay in this one or the other one? So for first-time buyers, even as you decide on your budget, it is always important to start with the zoning, the location, then the budget. Because you'll always find a good deal somewhere. Yes, yes, yes.
John, do you have any crazy experience you've ever encountered in this industry? Crazy experience.
I believe I've had many, but I don't know. Maybe for the viewers, they'll tell me if this is actually crazy. But what actually happened around, I think it was around COVID. And during COVID, if you check even that the Kenyan Bureau of Statistics, you'll notice that so many people actually bought land. And one of the reasons is because now people were facing a pandemic. And now most people are either living in apartments or they had land they've never built it. So they started realizing that things can change. You can lose your job. You can actually lose your income. You are earning $1 million. You're told from now you're earning 500,000.
Yeah.
So you have lost your income. So it happened that during COVID, someone came to our office and he was looking to buy a piece of land. And he was very specific. He wanted a controlled residential area. And being that we sell in Kamakis, that was the obvious point.
Yeah.
The obvious place. So I took him to the site visit.
Yeah.
He actually went there, liked the area. In terms of how the area is gated, in terms of how people have built good houses. And I was assured I am selling. And that is one of the biggest dream for any property advisor or for any salesperson.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know is that this person was very much convinced that he actually went home, convinced the sisters,
Yeah.
convinced the brothers, friends. For the first time, I had sold around 18 plots.
Wow.
From one person. One person has brought 18 persons.
Wow.
And this is a person that we had never interacted before. This is a person that had never even thought of buying land before. So for him coming to trust us and even bringing people at the same time that he's buying was a very crazy experience for myself, because I remember we even had to go with a bigger vehicle the second time, because now everyone came.
Yeah.
Everyone was now saying, no, me, I wanted this one. They had now to agree, okay, you take the first one, I take the second. It was a crazy experience. I think for
one person, 18 pieces of land.
18. It was not actually for him who he bought the entire 18, but he actually brought people that actually bought the 18 pieces of land at the same time.
Yeah.
So for that month, I actually sold 18 pieces of land alone.
Wow. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, and he ran with it.
Yeah.
And until today, he's a very, very good friend of mine. He has actually built, and I know the brother has also built. And I believe that was a crazy experience. For me, it was a crazy. For the viewers, maybe wanatuambia, is it a crazy experience for you? Yes. Very extraordinary.
Thank you so much, John,
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing your years and years of experience.
Nashukuru.
Where can people find you?
So for me, you can always find me on various platforms. You can find me on TikTok. I go by the name John Fanaka, which is also the same thing also on Facebook. And then on LinkedIn, you'll find me under John Wamuru, which is the same thing for Twitter. And then also for Instagram, you'll find me under Wamuru Mugo, because now those are my official names. Kwa serikali.
And where are your offices?
Wonderful. Wonderful. So as Fanaka Real Estate, we have 3 offices. We have an office along the Eastern Bypass that is in Kamakis, that is in Naivas building. We also have another one along Mombasa Road in Gateway Mall. And then we also have another one in Ruaidun Plaza. So that means we are selling land properties along Thika Road, along Kangundo Road, and along Mombasa Road. We have crazy offers, we have discounts, payment plans, financing partners. We actually have a partnership currently with NCBA Bank and also Stanbic Bank, but that does not limit you that you must go to those banks. You can also go to other banks. We always finance them. They finance our clients because all our properties have ready titles. I also want to say thank you for this opportunity. Also, to be able to be before your fans. I know this is not an easy thing, especially being that it's like a home. A channel is like a home for anyone. So I'm saying thank you so much for the invitation. And I'm hoping I disseminated the information as it is.
You did. You did a great job.
Comments wanatuambia.
Comments down below. Did you learn something new? Was this video helpful? Let us know down below. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.